Hi, in today's lesson we're going to talk about and explain the grid for the A major and F minor keys. We're going to be talking about the A major scale, F minor scale, and how to use the grid for the key of A major and F minor. At this time you want to go ahead and get your music sheet, grid show pattern for the key of A major and F sharp minor. Okay, pause the tutorial, go get that. And you don't need to tune up your ukulele. We won't be playing the ukulele in this lecture. We're going to be talking about the grid. Okay, so you got your music paper. Hopefully you did your homework and you really took some good notes in the very first tutorial that tells you how the family of chords corresponds to the entire grid and the scales and notes that we're playing in the grid. Okay. So in this lecture we're going to be talking about some things that we didn't really discuss too much in the previous lessons and tutorials, but just to give you some more information about how people play scales and melodic lead lines and how to play their creative scale work or melodic lead lines. First of all, this is the grid for the A major scale or A major key and F minor. We did not put down the G string over here because we won't be playing that, mainly because the high G string doesn't really correspond to the way we do our scales. But if you would like to put in a low G string, by all means that's a good idea. Then you can utilize more notes. Okay, so then you can actually use your G string down here to go from low to high when you're playing your scales. But most people don't have a low G string, so I'm gonna talk in the same sense for the majority of folks who own ukuleles just with a high G string. Most important of all, well, before we get to that, keep in mind that when you're in A major and F sharp minor, you have three sharps. This is what it looks like in your signature, and you have an F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp. Now, most important of all is that whenever you are understanding and trying to utilize your grid, you want to know where your locations are for your fret. So you want to know where your third fret is, you want to know where your fifth fret is, 7, etc. In a previous tutorial I showed you how to mark off the top of your fretboard so you can better see which frets you can spot easily. If you notice over here the C string, I didn't put the C note over here because the note C is not part of this grid or scale pattern. It's a C sharp, so that's why you won't be playing open C. You'd be playing a C sharp. Keep in mind that you gotta have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. That's why you see like F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and all throughout you'll see it there. If you break it down, it looks overwhelming, but it's not really if you break it down. For instance, we practiced and we talked about the A major scale in the basic position, which is right here from A to A. So this should be very familiar to you. Then we did the A major scale in the extended position. Remember that? A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So now we basically are encompassing this area here and this area over here. Okay? So you can see how we have a little bit more understanding on the fretboard. And we also did the F sharp minor scale, which is F sharp, G sharp, A minor, B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp. So technically this section right here up to about here, so here and all the way down here, we covered already. So you basically know more than half the fretboard if you want to think about that. And all that we're kind of missing is just over here, which is a small area. And we're going to be going over that in the upcoming tutorial. We just want to make sure that you have the necessary foundation and knowledge before going into that upcoming tutorials. You want to make sure that you have a good understanding about the family of chords down here at the bottom and how it relates to the grid, okay? Because knowing and understanding the family of chords in the key of E major or F sharp minor, you'll know that just about any note that you can play up here in reference to these chords is going to work. It's going to sound good. It's just going to match. So you really want to understand these two right here. And if not, go back to the first tutorial in the series of A major and go ahead and take some good notes on that lecture and come on back, because it's very important that you understand that. Some things that I never really talked about too much, I might have mentioned it, but within the scale you have modes, okay? And modes are basically scales within a scale. So within the A major grid you have different modes, and like I said, that they're like modes, M-O-D-E-S, modes are scales within a scale. For instance, if we were to play the scale that goes from C sharp to C sharp, in other words, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp to C sharp, if we were to play that scale, that would be a Phrygian mode. Phrygian mode, okay? Because it's the third scale in the A major scale. So within the A major scale, if you count the letters A, B, C sharp is number 3, and the Phrygian mode is the third scale pattern within the A major scale. If the next one would be D to D, and that would be D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D. That would be a Lydian mode, okay? And then the next one would be E to E, and that would be a Mixolydian mode. Now, I'm not going to get too heavy into that, but if you do want to research that some more, okay, that you can look up modes or mode, M-O-D-E, or plural, M-O-D-E-S, and those look it up on the internet, or you can look up some books in the library. They're modes within the major scales. Modes within the major scales. Okay, but the reason why I'm not going too heavily into that is because I'm teaching you the way of the grid, which includes all those modes anyway. But that's something for the ambitious learner, that they want to learn more information about scales and how they can manipulate it more and use it more extensively, etc. But like I said, in the way I'm teaching you, using the concept of the grid, it encompasses all those modes anyway. Now, another thing that I haven't really talked about a lot is we offer a construction of chords course, and what that is a chord. The chords that you play on the ukulele are made up of certain notes that go together that make a chord, like a G chord, or an A chord, or an F sharp minor chord, or an E minor chord. Whatever the case may be, you're playing chords on the ukulele. And then if you're playing melodic lead lines, you can play your melodic lead lines using notes in the chord to make it sound even better. So by understanding, I'll give you an example. So in the A chord, if you're playing an A chord, the A chord is made up of 3 notes: A, C sharp, and E. So if you start off your melodic lead line with any one of those 3 notes, A, C sharp, and E, it's going to sound very strong, it's going to sound very in the tonality of A major. And so if you can start with it, you can end with it, you can pass through it, okay? Those are some ideas, and if you want to understand more about chord construction, A lot of jazz players, they'll play around the chord. A lot of contemporary players play within the chord, so meaning notes in the chord or chords that you're playing in a song. Now I know it sounds a little advanced, but if you're interested in that route, look for the construction of chords program or course, and that will give you more information about how to play. Well, first it'll teach you an understanding of how chords are built and constructed, and then you can utilize that technique and understanding and knowledge to play your melodic lead lines using that information and the idea of chords. Okay. Now, the main thing that you need to know before you go into the upcoming tutorial is that you need to understand that when you think of the A major and F sharp minor grid, that you think of this whole fretboard, okay? And you think about it, you know, where the notes are in the grid. If it helps you, what we're going to do in upcoming tutorials is we're going to break down the grid and show you how to practice it in sections so you can understand it easier. But really the main goal is to think about the entire grid when you're playing, so that you can better utilize that as a resource if you're playing your scales or melodic lead lines or your melodies. But that's really the way you want to go. But like I said, we're gonna, in the upcoming tutorial, we'll break it down into sections and get you started on how to practice it. And then after that, we're gonna show you how to play it and some fancy stuff that you can use when playing your melodic lead lines using the A major and F sharp minor scales along with the grid. Now, once again, before you move on, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a good understanding on the grid and how it relates to the family of chords down here, okay? The grid and the family of chords down here. Hopefully you got a lot of notes that you took throughout this series and every series that deals with whatever key or chords, whatever key or scales you're working on. So with that being said, you'll know if you took enough notes or not, because at this point you should have a pretty strong, good understanding about how you're going to be using these notes with your family of chords. And if you feel that you're ready to move on, then we will see you for the next lesson where we show you how to practice it, break it down, and start using the scales, notes, and the grid to make up melodic lead lines. Okay, so if you're ready, we'll see you for the next lesson.